Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are getting into the real reason we lose muscle as we get older, and I promise you, it is not what you think. See, it's not just about the calendar ticking over. There's actually a hidden metabolic war happening inside your body. All right, let's jump right in with a number that is, well, it's pretty startling. By the time the average person hits 80, they've lost a staggering 50% of their muscle mass. And you have to understand, this isn't about looks, this directly impacts how long and how well you live. Now, there's a medical name for this, sarcopenia. But please don't let that phrase age-related throw you off. This is not some passive thing that just happens to you. No, it's an active process, and it can start as early as your 30s, slowly, silently, chipping away at your body's most critical metabolic tissue. So why should you care about this so much? Well, because losing muscle has some really severe consequences. It cranks up your risk for diabetes, it tanks your immune system, and, it's one of the single best predictors of overall mortality. Think of your muscle as metabolic armor. Without it, you are left completely vulnerable. Okay, so here is the main takeaway. Age itself isn't the bad guy here. What we're actually up against is a two-pronged metabolic attack that systematically sabotages your muscles from the inside out. The first part of this attack, it's a condition that affects up to 80%, that's 80% of the population, and most of them have no idea. It's called insulin resistance. And what I love about this is how clearly it shows the problem. In a healthy muscle, insulin is like a key. It slides into the lock on the cell and opens the door to let fuel in. But when you're insulin resistant, those locks they get gummed up. The key doesn't work anymore. And you end up with this fuel blockade that is literally starving your muscles, even when there's plenty of fuel floating around in your blood. And that, right there, leads to the second prong of the attack. Your muscles are starving, so your body starts to impose this brutal metabolic tax. It has to find those essential amino acids somewhere, so it starts to cannibalize its own muscle tissue to get them. You are literally paying for poor metabolic health with your own strength. But here's where it gets tricky. Here's the paradox. Even if you think, okay, I'll just eat more protein, it might not work. So many people are eating plenty of protein, but they're still losing muscle. And that's because of what you could call a critical ignition failure in the whole muscle building system. The key to this entire ignition system is one specific amino acid called leucine. Just think of it like the spark plug for muscle growth. You can have a full tank of gas, all the protein you want, but if you don't have enough leucine to create that spark, the engine of muscle protein synthesis, it just never turns on. And a lot of lower quality protein sources, especially some plant proteins, just don't have enough leucine to hit that threshold. And this is a perfect illustration of why something like high-quality, grass-fed red meat is so incredibly effective. It's not just that it delivers that big dose of leucine you need to flip the ignition switch. It comes with a whole toolkit of other critical nutrients, things like creatine to fuel your cells and zinc to support healthy hormone levels. It's the whole package. So, enough about the problem, let's get to the solution. Let's see how all this builds into a really practical protocol we can call the sarcopenia reset. This is all about how you can actively fight back against that metabolic sabotage. The reset itself is actually refreshingly simple. It's just a two-step process. Number one, you've got to give your body the right fuel to build with. And number two, you have to give it the right stimulus to tell it that building isn't just an option, it's a necessity. So, for the fuel, the focus has to be on quality. Quality over quantity. It's not just about how many grams of protein you eat, it's about making sure you get enough leucine to actually kickstart that muscle building process. And highly bioavailable animal protein is, frankly, the most reliable way to make sure you're hitting that critical mark every single time. And for the stimulus, we need to send the loudest, clearest signal possible to our muscles. And that signal, that comes from eccentric exercise. That's the part of a lift where the muscle is getting longer while it's still under tension. So think about slowly lowering a dumbbell or controlling your body on the way down from a pull-up. That right there is the most powerful driver for growth we know of. So what makes these movements so special? Well, for one, they create 2 to 3 times more mechanical tension than the lifting part of the exercise. And that tension, that's the #1 stimulus for muscle growth. Even better, it's been proven to be super effective for fighting sarcopenia, and it even wakes up your body's own muscle stem cells to help with repair and rebuilding. How cool is that? Okay, let's put this all together into a clear plan. Because this isn't about just trying to slow down the clock. No, this is about actively going out and reclaiming your strength and your vitality, and you can do it at any age. So here it is, your action plan, the core of the reset. Number 1, eat high-quality protein to get that leucine trigger. Number 2, lift heavy things and really focus on those slow, controlled, eccentric movements to provide the stimulus for growth. And number 3, and this is a big one, prioritize sleep. That's when all the magic, all the rebuilding actually happens. And hey, if you really want to track your progress, the gold standard is a DEXA scan to see exactly what's happening with your lean body mass. So once you understand that muscle loss isn't just about getting older, that it's really the result of a metabolic tax you can fix and an ignition failure you can correct, you suddenly have all the power. You can fix the fuel problem, you can provide the right stimulus, which really leaves us with just one final thought. Aging is inevitable, sure, but maybe, just maybe, decay is a choice?